So there's going to be a third season of Star Trek Picard. Can you believe that? 3 seasons already. Thank God this is the last one. The only thing that's more depressing about having a third season of Star Trek Picard is the fact that there's a 5th season of Star Trek Discovery. Now, there's recently been 2 trailers released for Star Trek Picard, and I'm going to talk about those. But first, I want to comment on a stream that Robert Meyer Burnett made several months back called Shocker. You should absolutely be excited for Picard Season 3. His channel is called The Post Geek Singularity. He's well worth subscribing to, and I've included his channel linked below. Now, Robert is someone whose analysis and critiques on pop culture I've always very much enjoyed, and there's no disputing his encyclopedic knowledge of Star Trek and his passion for the franchise. And like most of us, he really doesn't enjoy modern Star Trek in general. He also believes that since 2009, the J.J. Abrams Bad Robot productions, the franchise is, shall we say, not in a good place. He's been a vocal critic of Discovery, Picard, and I believe Strange New Worlds also. But having said all of that, he's very much enthusiastic for Picard Season 3 because he has, in his own words, experienced it. Now, he's been vague on what he means by this. We don't know if he's seen a rough cut of the season or just read scripts and seen storyboards. He claims Season 3 is like a really good 10-episode Next Generation movie. As you probably know, the entire original cast of TNG are back for Season 3. However, despite Robert Meyer Burnett's glowing endorsement, I'm not so optimistic. I'm afraid I'm going to have to respectfully disagree here. I can concede the possibility that Picard Season 3 is going to be an improvement over the first 2 dreadful seasons. That would not be difficult. But it's like something that someone said in the comments some months ago. Standards of television are so low now that basic competence looks like genius. The first trailer from a couple of months back gives us really nothing to work with. There's an explosion of some Federation building. Beverly Crusher sends out a distress call. She needs Picard's help. There's lots of space shots in these trailers. And by and large, I disagree with a lot of fans on the quality of these visual effects. I think these look very video gamey in my opinion. Look at some of this stuff. This isn't anywhere near up to the standard of the Orville, for example. Riker meets Picard in a bar. They take a shuttle to the USS Titan A under the command of 7 of 9. And we have the usual Trek fanfare music, a bridge walk-on, and the tired Trek trope of making a big spectacle of clearing space dock and saying engage. Wow, we haven't seen that a billion times before. Now, the more recent trailer, which was released a few days ago, gives us a good bit more detail. So there's this mystery about Beverly Crusher, her whereabouts, the distress call, and I guess Picard and Riker go to rescue her and find out what's going on, so they're investigating. And throughout the entire trailer, we get nothing but darkly lit sets and very average CGI space shots. That's basically the entire thing. In fact, the trailer for the first season was so much more colourful and well lit than this. Obviously, the first season ended up being a complete turkey, but nevertheless, at least I think the marketing was a bit stronger than this. The visuals matter a great deal in terms of setting the tone for a show. And this just looks dreadfully dreary, just like Star Trek Discovery all over again. Sorry, I'm complaining way too much here. Let's play more of the trailer.
Who is it out there?
I don't know.
I don't care. This franchise is tired and needs to be put to bed. Every story, every permutation of a Star Trek plot has been done and redone many, many times over the past 56 years. Okay, clearly Star Trek's best days are behind it. I think we can agree on that, right? We need new franchises. Wheeling out the TNG cast for yet another one last adventure is just lazy and unimaginative.
How very precise with your timing, Jean-Luc Picard.
Ah, here we go again. The Khan-like villain, complete with battle in the nebula. Boy, that's very Star Trek Nemesis, isn't it? Which, of course, was always a bit of a quasi-rehashing of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. The space battle in the nebula with the extremely personal arch-villain. Incidentally, and somewhat fittingly, the actress who plays this villain is Amanda Plummer, the daughter of Christopher Plummer, who played General Chang in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. So we have some space battles, and Worf is back. There's some nice banter between Riker and Worf.
You should know that I now prefer pacifism to combat. We're all gonna die.
I think this character development for him might actually work as a new take. Worf certainly was hard done by in Nemesis. He was given very little to do, very little screen time. He needs a decent story arc. Unfortunately, we still have the deeply unlikable character of Raffi. You know, dark and tortured as always and full of attitude. Hopefully she's a bit less argumentative this season, and maybe she cries less. Almost anything could set her off in the first 2 seasons. So Geordi, I believe, is a Commodore now, and his 2 daughters are going to appear on the show, including LeVar Burton's actual daughter. Now, on a potentially positive note, I get the impression that this trailer is holding quite a bit back. It seems to be focusing primarily on the events of 1 or 2 episodes, but again, I can only judge by what we've got here. It all feels a bit too safe for my liking, and far too bottle-based actually. Dark ship scenes, red alert lighting, and space shots. Again, there's not much to go on here.
There's a darkness on this ship. All-consuming darkness.
Don't worry about it, Deanna. That's just modern Star Trek these days. Edgy, dark, and full of swearing and unnecessary gory violence. It's hard not to be cynical when you've experienced what's passed for Star Trek over the past few years. The trailers for seasons 1 and 2 were actually decent enough, but the end product ended up being extremely disappointing. By comparison, this trailer doesn't excite me one bit. There's the new Enterprise F, as seen in Star Trek Online, now officially canon. One wonders what happened to the wonderful Enterprise E. As I suspected, the really nice bridge they built for the USS Stargazer in Season 2 is now redressed to be used as the Titan A for Season 3.
But first, we will have vengeance.
For feck's sake. The villain who's looking for vengeance. The laziest excuse for a villain's motivations ever. We need a reason for a bad guy to act crazy and do bad stuff. Let's just say they're pissed off about something from the past, and they want revenge on the protagonist. Job done. Okay, so in a twist I was not expecting when I first saw this trailer. So it turns out that Daniel Davis, who played Moriarty in 2 episodes of The Next Generation, Elementary Dear Data and Ship in a Bottle, he's back. Why in the world would they bring this character back? Don't get me wrong, Daniel Davis was fantastic. I mean, Moriarty was a great villain, but why bring him back after all these years? And I'll also spoil the end of the trailer too. It turns out Brent Spiner is now playing Lore, which I predicted already. Now, both Daniel Davis and Brent Spiner are playing characters that shouldn't age. In the first season of Picard, they did some less than stellar de-aging CGI on Brent Spiner so that he could play Data, which wasn't great, but at least they did that. It's very expensive to do de-aging CGI, which is why they chose to only de-age John Delancey's character, Q, for a very brief shot in the second season. But it worked really well that time, so credit where credit is due. But Lore is an android like Data, so he shouldn't age. Likewise, Moriarty shouldn't age either because he's a computer program, so I guess they're going to have to contrive some reasons why they've aged. For me, it looks very much like what Season 3 has to offer is based on nostalgia and member berries. Like I say, it wouldn't be difficult to improve upon the first 2 seasons. They were atrocious and profoundly un-Star Trek. But even if Season 3 is actually decent enough and genuinely watchable, what would we compare it to in terms of quality? Could it ever really be as good as a season of Star Trek The Next Generation? Because that's the true barometer, isn't it? Thanks very much for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.